Greetings. Welcome to Significant Encounters. This is a place for you if you've experienced drama and trauma in your life. It's a place of encouragement for you. It's a place where you know that someone is in your corner. It's perhaps even a soft place to land. Today's topic is about shame. Shame affects us all horribly, and it can cause us many, many problems and the ability to not be able to be who we really are. The dictionary definition of shame is this: a pervasive, negative emotional state, usually originating in childhood, marked by chronic self-reproach and a sense of personal failure. Shame causes us to lose our dignity. Being relentlessly shamed in early life can cause us to grow up without that sense of dignity or self-esteem. It's an attack on who we are, as opposed to what someone wanted us to be. Taunting because of attributes that we cannot control, like physical, mental abilities, or even shame because of earlier actions. Now, my adopted dad always made fun of my feet. Truth, they are big. Another truth, I'm a tall girl, and if my feet were any smaller, I would fall over. My little girl heart did not realize that. My little girl heart only knew that my gunboats, my big feet, and in some cases they were even called black feet, were a cause for shame. I spent much time covering them up. What a blessing it was when bell bottoms were all the rage. Now here is what Brené Brown has to say about shame and guilt. It is one of the best descriptions I've heard. According to Brené, shame is insecurity that attaches to self-identity and gets in the way of action or vulnerability. It causes people to believe that they're unworthy or unlovable. For example, if you feel shame about the way you look and someone rejects you romantically, you may believe that you're not attractive enough, diminishing your self-worth in the process. Now, what about guilt versus shame? Guilt is attached to an action or behavior, not your identity. Guilt makes you say, that was a bad decision, and guilt can be a useful tool to stop making poor decisions. For example, an alcoholic feeling guilt about a relapse usually won't give up on recovery because while they know they made a bad decision, they don't believe they're a bad person. Shame, however, is attached to your identity, not to an action or a behavior. Shame makes you say, I am a bad person. Shame causes people to fall further into unhealthy behavior. For example, an alcoholic feeling shame about their relapse will often spiral further into their addiction because they believe they are irredeemable. Shaming, on the other hand, is a pointed attack that targets someone's insecurities. Here's the example. Your partner comes home late one night. You know they're upset that they haven't been able to spend time with the family, but you're exhausted and frustrated, and you begin yelling at them for not spending enough time with the kids, causing them to fall deeper into their shame. Many kinds of trauma can cause shame. Divorce, failure, rape, bankruptcy, the list goes on and on. Ask God to show you how your life experiences have caused you to think less of yourself than God has made you to be. Your dignity may have suffered, but realize that part of the work of God in your life is to restore you to wholeness in your concepts about yourself. Isaiah 54:4 says, "Thou shalt forget the shame of thy youth. Wow, that's a good thing to forget. There was a lot of it. Our emotions are damaged when we're shamed, and we may often feel lost or hurt or unvaluable. We've all heard the saying, sticks and stones may break my bones, but words will never hurt me. But the truth is that the emotional pain of shame can cause actual physical symptoms. It can mess up our sleep. It can mess up our digestive tract. It can mess up our nervous system. Since it may be easier to cover rather than to confront that shame, we may choose to medicate it instead. Sex, drugs, alcohol, shopping, rage. We select overindulgences, compulsions of all kinds to fill the space left in our souls by shame. After trying to fill those holes with these things, we often feel a sense of guilt for our overdoing. It is a vicious cycle. Remember we talked about those cycles that keep on repeating themselves? Jesus bore our shame by being publicly beaten, unrecognizable, spit on, mocked, whipped, and nailed to the cross. Have you suffered at the hands, actions, or words of others? Well, Jesus made everyone he came into contact with feel better about themselves. Even the adulteress and the tax collector, the murderer and the Roman soldier felt valuable. The rejection they felt melted away by Jesus' gift on the cross. In Isaiah 53, 3-5 in the Living Bible, it says it a little differently. It says, "We despised him and rejected him, a man of sorrows, acquainted with the bitterest grief. We turned our backs on him and looked the other way when he went by. He was despised, and we did not care. Yet it was our grief he bore and our sorrows that weighed him down. And we thought his troubles were a punishment from God for his own sins. But he was wounded and bruised for our sins. He was beaten that we might have peace. He was lashed, and we are healed." Using the following steps will help you along the way to healing. Remember, Jesus was shamed for all of us. He so wants us to be whole, to release us from our prison, and to heal our hearts. So please, release what you cannot change. Don't waste your precious energy on things that you can do nothing about. Take steps toward change. If you can change it, then take a step. Doing what you have always done will not help you to get anywhere. Tell your heart the right things. The world we live in constantly sends us messages that we are unhappy. We never have enough. We'll never be enough. It causes us to always be in a state of longing for something we don't have, when really what we need is peace on the inside of us. Have a chat with God each morning. It doesn't have to be elaborate or even very intelligible, because he can read your heart. It can be as simple as, "Good morning, God. What are we doing today?" Just make the effort so that he can meet you where you are. Now, I hope that you found this helpful to you, and I hope that you'll join me next time. I hope that you'll share it with someone who you feel could use the encouragement. So until then,